Okay, right, in today's video here, I'm going to be doing this killer tier list. Yeah, I'm going to be ranking killers based on their teachable perks and cosmetics. And yeah, with all that said, let's get things started here. First things first, we got Trapper. Now, his three teachable perks, which are Unnerving Presence, Brutal Strength, and Agitation, I'm pretty sure. They're all pretty okay, I guess, in terms of usage. You do see agitation if you're running like a basement build or something like that. Unnerving presence if you're doing a doctor build. Overall, I think his perks along with his cosmetics, that's a pretty nice cosmetic, has like the teddy bear cosmetic and all of that. Definitely, I will put this guy up there in A tier. Next up, we got Wraith. Now, Wraith's three teachable perks, which are Bloodhound, Shadowborn, and Predator. His perks are very mid. You don't see his perks ever getting used, so that's very much of a letdown. However, outfits wise, he does have some pretty high end outfits. He has like the Halloween one, which looks pretty amazing. He also has like the Phantom of the Opera kind of one, looks amazing as well. So I guess his cosmetics do kind of save him there. I'm gonna put this guy, I guess, in A tier next to Trapper as well. Next up, we got Billy. Now, Billy's three teachable perks, which are Lightborn, Tinkerer, and Endurance, they are actually very good three teachable perks. You do see them often used nowadays. And his cosmetics are very solid. My favorite one is probably either the one with the pig or the Hallowed Blight one. I think it's the Hallowed Blight one. But I think overall, I think this guy should probably deserve a spot up there in S tier, to be honest. I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna put him up there in S tier. Next up, we got Nurse. Nurse's three teachable perks, which are Strider, Thanatophobia, and Nurse's Calling. They are three very good perks, especially Nurse's Calling. You do see it very much used, and Thanatophobia, you do see it used. Strider, not so much. You mainly only see Strider being used with Spirit. And cosmetic wise, she does have some pretty nice cosmetic. So I'm gonna put her up there in A tier next to Wraith and Trapper. I don't think she's S tier material. Next up, we got Myers. Now Myers has three super perks, which are Save the Best for Last, Play with Your Food, and Dying Light. Dying Light is often used, I do see it quite often nowadays. Play with Your Food really depends on the build you're using. Same goes for Save the Best for Last. Overall, I think his three teachable perks are very good. I give them an 8 out of 10 in total. Cosmetic wise, he's a licensed killer, so he's not gonna have too many cosmetics. In fact, he only has one cosmetic, which is the Pantsless Myers. But I was gonna put him in. I was gonna put this guy in B tier, but purely because of the memes, I'll put her up there in A tier. Next up, we got the Hag. Now, the Hag's teachable perks, which are Devour Hope, Hextort Seal, and Ruin. They're all three hex perks, which they are good unless they get immediately destroyed, which 99% of the times that's always the case. Cosmetic wise, Hag does have some pretty okay cosmetics. Nothing too crazy or anything like that. I think I'm gonna put Hag up there in B tier.
What the?
Next up, we got Doctor. Now, his teachable perks, which are Overcharge, Overwhelming Presence, and Monitor and Abuse. Monitor is very often used. Overwhelming Presence, not really. I haven't seen anyone use that perk in ages, so that's very big letdown there. However, Overcharge does get used sometimes. You do see some killers running it. Outfit wise, the Doctor has some very nice outfits, especially the one he had last in the Deep Rift. That was pretty good. I'm gonna put her up there in A tier. Next up, we got the Huntress. Now, her three super perks, which are Territory Imperative, Huntress Lullaby, and Beast of Prey, I think. Beast of Prey is almost never used. Mainly if someone's gonna use it, mainly because of the 50% extra blood points. But that's about it. Huntress Lullaby, again, people do use if you're running an possible skill check doctor build. Territory Imperative, again, no one uses Territory Imperative nowadays, so it's very mid. But moving on to cosmetic wise, Huntress has a lot of very nice cosmetics. I do quite like most of her cosmetics she has. So I guess in general, I'm gonna put her up there in A tier, I guess. Though she's a very close S tier.
Nice.
Next up, we got Boba. Now, his three teachable perks are Franklin's Demise, Barbecue and Chili, and Knockout. They are actually very good 3 digital perks. You do see them awfully used nowadays. Cosmetic wise, he is a licensed killer, so he doesn't really have that many cosmetics, so that kind of makes sense. I'll put him up there next to Hag. Next up, we got Freddy. Now, his 3 digital perks, which are Fire Up, Blood Water, and Remember Me, aren't really the best perks at all. The only good one he has is Blood Warden. For running an endgame build, Blood Warden is usually used combined with No Way Out. But cosmetic wise, he is a licensed killer, so the devs can't really just randomly add cosmetics. But he's probably the only killer I think who doesn't have a cosmetic here. So I think this guy is going in D tier. Next up, we got the Pig. Now, her teachable perks, which are Surveillance, Handman's Trick, and Make Your Choice, I'm pretty sure. Make Your Choice is a very decent perk, however, Handman's Trick and Surveillance are very rarely used. Cosmetic wise, I feel like he does have some very good cosmetics there. They are very solid ones. I quite like the cosmetics. She's another licensed killer. But she does have some very good outfits, so I'm gonna put her up there in A tier. Next up, we got the Clown. Now, this guy's 3 digital perks. He has Pop Goes the Weasel, Bamboozle, and Coulrophobia. Those 3 digital perks, especially Bamboozle and Pop Goes the Weasel, they are very oftenly used. So it does take a lot of win on that. Cosmetic wise, that's some very funny meme cosmetics. He's a clown after all. This guy is probably gonna go up there in S tier. Next up, we got the Spirit. Her 3 digital perks here, we got Haunted Grounds, Spirit Fury, and Rancor. All her 3 digital perks are very good. You do see Haunted Grounds and Spirit Fury often used. Rancor, not as much as it used to be back in the times where Spirit got released, but however, you still see it sometimes being used. Cosmetic wise, Spirit has amazing cosmetics, absolutely amazing. The devs really did a very good job with her. So I'm gonna put her straight up there in S tier. Next up, we got the Legion. Now, there's 3 digital perks, which are Mad Grid, Iron Maiden, and Discordance, I think. They're not bad. Discordance isn't really oftenly used that much. Mad Grid as well. However, Iron Maiden, every single Hunters player uses it nowadays. That's a pretty decent perk. Outfit wise, not bad. The Legion does have some very nice outfits, but I'm gonna put this guy in A tier. Next up, we got the Plague. Now, her 3 different perks, which are Infectious Fright, Dark Devotion, and Corrupt Intervention, they are very good perks. Corrupt, you see it used so much nowadays. Dark Devotion, not really. Dark Devotion is very rarely used. But Infectious Fright is also very much used as well. Outfit wise, the Plague does have some very nice, interesting outfits. But overall, I think this guy deserves a spot in S tier. Next up, we got Ghostface. His series of perks, which are Furtive Chase, Amol Ears, and Thrilling Tremors. Mainly, Thrilling Tremors will probably get used out of the 3 of them. Other than that, it's mid. Cosmetic wise, absolutely amazing. And he does have some pretty nice cosmetics. Again, he's another licensed killer. So overall, in general, I say this guy deserves a spot up there in A tier. Next up, we got Demo. Now, Demo's 3 different perks. We got Surge Limits, Mindbreaker, and Surge. Surge and Mindbreaker are very often used by almost every killer at this point. You do see it used quite a lot. So 2 out of 3 of his super perks are very good. Cosmetic wise, he has some pretty nice, some questionable cosmetics. But he, again, licensed killer. So I'm not gonna hold him again. I'm not gonna hold it against him. So overall, I would actually say that this guy deserves a spot in S tier. Next up, we got the Oni. The Oni strategic perks here, we got Blood Echo, Zenship Tactics, and Nemesis. Not bad perks, you don't see them that much used. Maybe you see Nemesis every now and then getting used. Moving on to cosmetic wise, he does have some very nice cosmetic. He also has the Attack on Title, Rhino cosmetic, which is pretty nice, I would say. So overall, in general, I think A tier is where this guy is going to go. Next up, we got Deathslinger. Now, his TTP perks here, he has Deadman Switch, Hex Retribution, and Gearhead. Now, Deadman Switch is very often used. I see it in almost every single round nowadays. It's such a popular perk. Gearhead and Hex Retribution are a very little bit of a letdown. Cosmetic wise, I would say he does have some decent cosmetics, so I'm gonna put that guy up there in 80. Next up, we got Pyramid. Now, his three different perks here, we got Deadbound, Forced Penance, and Trail of Torment. I don't see any of his perks used nowadays. It's very, very mid. Cosmetic wise, he is another licensed killer, so he can't have that many cosmetics. But for now, I guess I'm gonna put him up there in B tier. Next up, we got Elite. Now, the history of the perks, we got Undying, Blood Favor, and Dragon Grip. Now, Undying and Blood Favor, they are very much used, a lot actually, very much used, quite frankly often. Blood Favor, I would say, is the most often used perk out of the three he has. But moving on to cosmetic wise, Blight actually has some very, very nice cosmetics. I gotta give props to the devs for that. So, I think this guy deserves a spot in S tier. Next up, we got the Twins. Now, the Twins is three different perks. We got Oppression, Coup de Grace, and Hoarder. Oppression, you do see it used every now and then. Hoarder, never. I don't think I've ever seen anyone run that perk. Coup de Grace, you do see some killers run it. Not everyone, but you do see it every now and then. Cosmetic wise, not bad, I would say. Maybe I'll change that later on, but I think BT for now is where it's gonna go. Next up, we got Trickster. Now, his three different perks, we got Starstruck, No Way Out, and Crowd Control. Starstruck is so frequently used in every single round at this point. So incredibly used. Crowd Control, not really that used, but No Way Out is very much used quite often. Cosmetic wise, he does have some very nice cosmetics, but I'll give him props when the props are needed, so I'm gonna put that guy up there in 80. Next up, we got Nemesis. Now, his three different perks, we got Hysteria, Eruption, and Lethal Pursuer. Eruption is so used nowadays, it's used quite frequently, it's used quite often. However, the rest of his perks aren't really used that much. Cosmetic wise, again, he only has mainly one cosmetic, but he is a licensed killer, so that does make sense. So I'm not gonna hold that against him. Overall, I think this guy has potential, so I think I'm gonna put this guy up there in A tier. Next up, we got Pinhead. Now, his three different perks, we got Hex Plating, Gift of Pain, and Deadlock. Now, his three different perks, you actually see them used quite often, actually. Especially Scourge Hook of Pain. You do see that used very frequently, very often as well. Cosmetic wise, again, another licensed killer, but I'm not gonna hold that against him, so I'll put him up there in 80. However, he is a very close S tier as well. Next up, we got the Artist. Her three different perks, which are Grim Embrace, Hex Pentimento, and Pain Resonance. They are very good perks, I would say. Pentimento and Pain Resonance are used the most out of the three perks he has. Cosmetic wise, I would definitely give it a very good 8 out of 10. She does have some nice cosmetics and all. I think the Artist deserves a spot in S tier. Next up, we got Sadako, or the Unreal. Her three super perks, which are Call of Brine, Mercy Storm, and Floods of Rage. I honestly think her three super perks are slightly underrated. I think that they have quite a lot of potential. Cosmetic wise, for a licensed killer, she does have some pretty amazing cosmetics, I will say. So mainly because of that, I'm going to put her up there straight up in S tier. I feel like she deserves a spot in S tier 100%. Next up, we got the Dredge. Now, his three super perks, which are Darkness Revealed, Dissolution, and Septic Touch. Again, three teachable perks which are never quite used. I don't think I've seen them used in ages, to be honest. Cosmetic wise, he does have some pretty good cosmetics, I would say. However, little bit of a letdown on that part as well. I'm gonna put him up there in C tier. Next up, we got Wesker. Now, his three different perks, which are Awakened Awareness, Superior Autonomy, and Terminus. Again, perks that I don't really see used often. The only one of those three that can be used is Awakened Awareness. Cosmetic wise, again, another licensed killer, so he's not gonna have many cosmetics. But the few cosmetics that he does have, I think he has like 2 cosmetics, I think. They are very decent, I guess. The devs did a good job with that. So, I'm gonna put him up there in A tier. Next up, we got the Knight. Next up, we got Skull Merchant. Now, his 3 different perks, which are Gamer Food, Leverage, and Twack, or something like that. Honestly, 3 teachable perks that I don't often see, so again, little bit of letdown teachable perks. But moving on to cosmetic wise, he does have some pretty decent cosmetics, I would say, very okay. So overall, I would say A tier is where she's going to go. Okay, so slight change real quick. I want to put Skull Merchant up there in B tier, because I think she's basically similar to Night State. Next up, we got Singularity. Now, his 3 teachable perks, which are Machine Learning, Genetic Limit, and Forced Hesitation. Again, 3 perks that I don't often see used. Cosmetic wise, doesn't really have that many decent cosmetics in my opinion. He has 1 or 2 good ones. The rest are slightly mid, could be a little bit better. But overall, I think this guy is going to go in B tier. Next up, we got Xenomorph. Now, her teachable perks, we got Rapid Brutality, Ultimate Weapon, and Alien Instinct. Honestly, Rapid Brutality is very commonly used nowadays. That's a very good perk to use. A lot of killers like to use it. Rest of her 3 super perks are actually pretty decent. You do see them frequently used. Cosmetic wise, she's another licensed killer, so she's not gonna have too many cosmetics. But the one she does have, like the Shadow Queen one, pretty good cosmetic, I would say. So I'm gonna put her up there in S tier. I feel like she deserves put up there in S tier. Next up, we got Chucky. Now, for his super perks, we got Hex Toucan Play, Friends Till the End, and Batteries Included, I think. 3 super perks which I don't see used oftenly at all. Maybe some people do use Hex Toucan Play or Friends to the End in some certain builds that can be very much useful. Moving on to cosmetics, he's another licensed killer, but the few cosmetics he had are very good. They did a very good job with those. So overall, I think this guy deserves a spot up there in A tier. Next up, we got the Unknown. Next up, we got Vecna or the Lich. Here's 3 super perks. We got Weave Atonement, Languid Touch, and Dark Arrogance. Now, Languid Touch and Weave Atonement, they are quite used as well. They are very decent perks, especially Languid Touch. I very quite much use that perk, it's very good. Cosmetic wise, not bad, I would say. Has some pretty decent cosmetics, though he doesn't have much. But overall, I think I'm gonna put him up there in S tier, though he's also between, he does cover between A and S tier, I would say. Last but not least, we got Dracula or the Dark Lord. His 3 super perks, we got Dominance, Wretched Fate, and Human Greed. Human Greed is probably the one out of the 3 that is never used. The rest, he has some pretty decent perks, I would say. Cosmetic wise, does have some very nice ones here, I will say. The devs did a very good job with his cosmetics. I think overall his cosmetics are very much 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. So because of that, I'm gonna put this guy out there in S tier. Okay, quick change. I'm gonna be putting Booba in an A tier, and I'm gonna also be putting Pyramid Head in A tier. I feel like I was a little bit harsh. I feel like A tier they probably is where they should be at. Also, I am going to be changing the twins. I'm gonna put them up there in A tier because Oppression is a very decent perk, so they have very decent ones. Anyways, with that said, that is going to be it for today's video here. This is my tier list here for killers, rating killers based on their cosmetics and perks. Some of you are gonna disagree with me, some of you are gonna agree. That is always how a tier list goes. But anyways, with that said, hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night, guys.